In 2017, owner of a home furnishing and decoration store Mo Yizhi was overseeing his staff working as usual when two men walked into the business. They said something in Cantonese which the staff members were unable to understand. Their boss, however, calmly replied that he knew why they were there, he'd been waiting for them, and he would do as they said. To the surprise of the staff, the Cantonese-speaking strangers identified themselves as police detectives and arrested Mo Yizhi. The small business owner was in reality Chen Xunmin, whom police had spent the last 21 years trying to find for being the mastermind behind, to date, the biggest armed robbery in New China. Arrested in Ruili, a city in the province of Yunnan that lies on the China-Myanmar border. The man, known to his staff, friends, wife and 3 children, as Mo Yizhi, was transported to Guangzhou to face questioning for his role in the robbery that left armed guards dead or wounded and 15 million RMB stolen. On December 22, 1995, a minivan with 3 armed guards was en route to a branch of the Agricultural Bank of China to make a delivery of cash. The branch was located in Panyu, at the time a county-level city, but now a district of Guangzhou, a city with a population close to 19 million people. At 7:25 in the morning, staff at the bank heard 3 beeps from a car horn informing him that the delivery had arrived. 3 female staff members unlocked the doors as the minivan pulled up. One of the guards, Chen Jianmin, stepped out of the vehicle. As soon as his feet touched the ground, 5 men, guns raised, rushed the van from different directions. The robbers opened fire on the guards immediately. Guo Jinchang, who was in the passenger seat, was hit and died instantly. Driver Xu Weicheng received bullet wounds to both legs. As this was happening, Chen Jianmin was knocked to the ground and had his pistol taken before he had time to react. He was fired on and received a wound to his stomach. He tried to roll away from the assailant but was shot in the back. This time the bullet hit his body armor. Managing to get to his feet, he ran for his life. The gunmen fired at him, but their shots missed. Pulling the injured driver Xu Weicheng out of the van, the 5 men jumped into the vehicle and sped away from the scene as both staff members and the injured guards sent out the alarm. In less than 2 minutes, the thieves had got away with 13.2 million RMB and a further 2.5 million Hong Kong dollars in cash. 1 guard was dead and 2 severely wounded. Investigators arrived at the scene within 6 minutes of receiving the alarm call. Security checkpoints were ordered on roads across the province, as well as in Hong Kong and Macau. Police forces in 4 neighboring provinces, Hunan, Guangxi, Fujian and Jiangxi, which all bordered Guangdong, were also alerted, as well as those on the island province Hainan. At the scene, police collected 9 spent bullet casings, all fired by the robbers. They would immediately undergo ballistic examination to find out the firearms used in the assault. Results swiftly came back that the bullets were fired from a Type 54 pistol, a standard weapon for both the Chinese military and police force. With this information, combined with the gang knowing the time the delivery would arrive, and attacking on a day a significant amount of cash was being transported, police believed someone with insider knowledge had to be involved. They began looking through records of people involved in security teams. They found that 5 Type 54 pistols had been reported as stolen, along with 200 rounds of ammunition, and that a member of the security department, He Yongxin, had taken leave just days before the robbery, and his current whereabouts were unknown. Just after 1 in the afternoon on the 23rd of December, the stolen vehicle was discovered, abandoned on a quiet riverside road on the outskirts of Shunde, a district around 30 kilometers south of Panyu. The body of the slain security officer, Guo Jinchang, was found slumped across the front seats of the vehicle. He had been hit 4 times with wounds to the face, head and neck. There were also 6 strong boxes that the thieves were unable to force open left behind. They contained 1.6 million RMB and 300,000 Hong Kong dollars. Crucially, officers also found one of the pistols used in the assault that had been dropped as the men moved the boxes of cash. Checks on the serial number showed that the weapon was one of those reported as stolen, and registered to a bank in the city of Qingyuan, 100 kilometers to the north of Panyu. The missing security officer, He Yongxin, was born, lived and worked in Qingyuan. As the news was passed to officers in the city, the area around where the security van was discovered underwent a massive search. Local fishermen on the river informed police that they'd seen the car pull up on the road, and 5 men quickly started transferring items from the vehicle to a boat moored by the river bank. As police tried to track down the boat, the head of security at the bank the guns went missing was arrested. He would confess that he had been bribed 100,000 RMB so He Yongxin could access them, but claimed he had no idea about the armed robbery. This confirmed to investigators beyond doubt that He Yongxin was the gang's inside man. There was no sign of the suspect in Qingyuan as police tried to track him down, but they quickly found another name to add to their list of suspects. He Yongxin asked for leave on the 15th of December, and later checked into a Panyu hotel with a man named He Weiguang. As police looked into the backgrounds of the two men and people they were known to associate with, investigators got more names to add to their list of suspects. As well as trying to track down He Yongxin and He Weiguang, the police now wanted to find 3 other men: Wu Zhaoquan, He Donghai, and Yuan Changrong, as the people who participated in the robbery. There were also 2 other men who had been close associates of the 5 but now seemed to be missing. The name of the 6th man police wanted to track down was Chen Ennian. But it was the name of the 7th man that really grabbed the attention of the investigating police in Qingyuan. He was the son of a fairly prominent family in the city, Chen Xunmin. The people familiar with his name were surprised to say the least, that he was associating with the suspects for one of the biggest robberies in New China. He was native to Qingyuan and the son of the director of the local highway bureau. His family had money, power, and influence. Due to his father's position, he was able to attend the best schools as a child, and would go on to study architecture at Guangzhou University. He had the type of comfortable living conditions that very few people in the country had at that time. After graduating university, he didn't have to look for a job. With the help of his father, he founded his own company affiliated with the Highway Bureau. Naturally, the company was successful and was soon making millions, an amount that was unimaginable for the majority of people. As well as his father's influence and connections, he was also helped by the economic reforms taking place in the country, Guangdong being a key location as China opened up and money flooded into the region. However, despite his success, Chen Xunmin wasn't satisfied and wanted more. He learned about a massive project being planned in the region and wanted his company to take it on. Previously, his father had assisted him getting the development projects, but this time was different. He told his son the project was too big and that his company wasn't financially sound enough to receive the contract. It was the first time in his life Chen Xunmin met an obstacle, and it frustrated him. Instead of taking his father's advice and working on building his company up, he devised a different plan. He reconnected with 2 old school classmates, Chen Ennian and He Weiguang, who both ran in different social circles than him. Chen Ennian advised him to get a loan from the bank so he could offer a high enough bid for the contract. With his name and connections, it would have been easy enough. Chen Xunmin said the problems with loans is you have to pay them back. He felt it was better to just take it. Both the former classmates were experiencing financial problems as they were both heavy gamblers. Chen Ennian was going through a divorce, while He Weiguang was running a struggling business, not helped by his gambling. When Chen Xunmin brought up the idea of robbing a bank, the other men were quick to jump on board. Chen Xunmin knew that entering a bank to rob it was a fool's errand, but they could intercept the money before it was deposited. The plan was to launder the money taken through his company, to make it look more successful than it was. They set about getting a team together for the heist. One of the first men they approached would be the insider, He Yongxin. He had previously served in the military, and was working as a security officer for banks in Qingyuan. Through his contacts, he could get hold of the firearms, knew the routines of the transports, and could find out when large deposits were going to take place. He knew He Weiguang through gambling and also had debts he needed to pay off. With the 4 men so far all being local to Qingyuan, Chen Xunmin felt it'd be better to bring in men who wouldn't be so familiar to people in the city. One of those was Wu Zhaoquan, a native of Guangxi, a province to the west of Guangdong. He had recently finished a stint in the military, and was now struggling financially as he adjusted to civilian life, again largely due to his gambling habits. Another was He Donghai, while being native to Guangdong, was from a town to the north of Qingyuan. He was another who had passed military training and had since tried to get a car mechanic business off the ground in 2 different cities. Neither were successful ventures, leaving him in a poor financial situation. The final member of the team was Yuan Changrong. He was from the same town as He Donghai, and another member of the gang with military experience. He also had reliable contacts that helped provide the boat to assist them in their getaway. With the team put together, the plan was simple. With information provided by He Yongxin, a 5-man team would attack a cash transport as it arrived at the bank. Chen Xunmin and Chen Ennian would not be involved directly but organize and coordinate the getaway. On the day of the robbery, He Weiguang and He Yongxin were the men who approached the front of the vehicle, immediately opening fire on Guo Jinchang and Xu Weicheng, while Wu Zhaoquan took care of Chen Jianmi at the back of the transport. He Donghai and Yuan Changrong stood guard ready to fire on anyone who tried to interfere. The incident was over in moments, any eyewitnesses nearby barely having time to process what they were seeing. Everything had gone to plan until, in the rush to move the cash to the boat, He Yongxin didn't realize he dropped the easily traceable firearm he used in the assault in the minivan. Chen Xunmin and Chen Ennian met up with the team further upriver, getting on the boat at a pre-planned meeting point. When He Yongxin told them about his mistake, any plans they had quickly changed. Chen Xunmin ordered that they split the cash between them and go on the run until any investigation lost steam. All were in agreement and they set about going to ground. Thanks to the carelessness of He Yongxin, police were quickly able to get to the task of tracking the men down, and He Yongxin was their first target as investigators tracked down friends and family members. But as they hunted down the inside man, it would be the sister of He Weiguang who'd point investigators in the right direction. She informed police that on December 24 her brother had hired a truck driver to urgently transport him and 2 other men to Wuzhou, a city in Guangxi province, some 300 kilometers away, and the hometown of Wu Zhaoquan. The 3 men in the truck were He Weiguang, He Yongxin, and Wu Zhaoquan. On December 25, the identity card of one of the men was registered at a hotel in Wuzhou. Police in the city were put on alert to be on the lookout for the 3 individuals who were likely still armed and dangerous. At this point, the trio decided to split up. Wu Zhaoquan would stay close to home, while the other 2 men planned to head further afield. He Weiguang and He Yongxin tried to change their appearance with haircuts and shaves, but before leaving the city decided to spend some of their money getting massages that came with extras. He Weiguang became somewhat attached to the woman he picked out, and offered her a decent sum of money to escort him for a few days. The woman who used the working name Lan Fangsi agreed, and the following morning was taken on a shopping spree. The 2 men and Lan Fangsi then planned to make their next move together. Armed officers were on their tail, and arrived at the family home of Wu Zhaoquan. By the time they got there, he'd already moved on. His family told police he'd only come back to say goodbye. A search of the home turned up 1.1 million RMB and 525,000 Hong Kong dollars buried in the grounds of the property. Police began to canvass train and bus stations looking for any sign of the wanted men. One ticket officer remembered a young woman in a red leather coat and miniskirt buying 3 sleeper train tickets to Guilin, over 300 kilometers to the north. The woman fit the description of Lan Fangsi, who lived in Liuzhou, a city 160 kilometers from Guilin. Police theorized that He Yongxin, He Weiguang, and Lan Fangsi were heading to Liuzhou. By December 30th, the trio had reached the city, but now the police were getting closer. They started searching for the 2 men and Lan Fangsi in hotels, massage parlors, and saunas in the area. In one massage parlor, they found a woman able to confirm that the 3 had been there and she knew Lan Fangsi well, and that she was there right now. Lan Fangsi was arrested and questioned, still wearing the red leather coat He Weiguang bought her days earlier. The young woman claimed she had no idea they were wanted men. She added that they had used her to rent a private house under her real name and gave them the address. In the early hours of January 2nd, armed plainclothes police stormed the location given to them and arrested He Yongxin. With no way out, he confessed and confirmed the names of the other men involved in the robbery. Police confiscated the money and firearms he had in the room, and He Yongxin told them where he'd hidden the rest of his share from the heist. He Weiguang was missing, but it didn't take long for investigators to track him down. He called He Yongxin while he was in custody, telling his friend to come meet him at a massage parlor in town. He'd be waiting outside a flower shop for him. Police headed there with He Yongxin to make a positive identification. They approached He Weiguang as he waited unsuspectingly outside the florist's. As officers grabbed him, He Weiguang fought fiercely to break free and escape, but was overwhelmed. Once under control, he confessed his part in the robbery, and where he'd hidden his share of the cash. The Guangxi police had 2 men. At the same time, Guangdong investigators were on the heels of 2 more. The boat used in the getaway had been tracked down, and the captain was questioned. He informed them he had originally been asked by Yuan Changrong to help transport some goods. He knew nothing about the robbery until the 5 men got on the boat with bags of money. He identified Chen Xunmin and Chen Ennian as the men who came on board once the boat reached Qingyuan. He had since taken Yuan Changrong and He Donghai to their hometown Qinglian, 130 kilometers to the north. In Qinglian, with help from the father of He Donghai, police found the money buried in the grounds of the family home and tracked the two men down to a house in a nearby village. The two gang members were armed, and when police arrived in the village to arrest them, they weren't prepared to give themselves up easily. There was a tense standoff that lasted for several hours, as the pair hid inside one of the village homes claiming they had grenades, but eventually they were convinced to surrender and arrested. By the 5th of January, 4 of the 7 suspects were in custody, with just 3 more to go. The final man who took an active part in the robbery wouldn't be tracked down until February 13th. Since splitting up from He Yongxin and He Weiguang, Wu Zhaoquan hadn't strayed too far from home, and as police had so far been unable to find him, he decided there was no point in having all that money if he couldn't enjoy it. He came out of hiding and started going to bars, nightclubs, and massage parlors, spending lavishly, not exactly keeping a low profile. It didn't take long for him to come to the attention of the police, and he was arrested. Like the other members of the gang, he confessed his role, and told police where he'd hidden the rest of his split of the money. In their confessions, all 5 explained the roles played by Chen Xunmi and Chen Ennian in the planning and financing of the robbery. When asked if they knew where the 2 men were hiding, all claimed they had no idea. There hadn't been much communication between them since they'd agreed to go into hiding. From the confessions and searches of their family homes, the majority of the money stolen would be recovered, as well as all firearms used in the assault on the cash delivery van, and those that were taken off the guards. With the 5 men they already had in custody, either unwilling or unable to help police track down the 2 remaining gang members, the decision was made to put the people they did have on trial. The quintet faced their judgment in the February of 1996. They were all sentenced to death. The executions were carried out on the 8th of March, just a couple of weeks after the judgment had been handed down. But investigators weren't finished with the case and were still determined to track down the final 2 members of the gang and bring them to justice. As Chen Xunmi and Chen Ennian went to ground, they followed the progress of the case in the media. Once all 5 members of the team were caught, they made the decision to leave the country. Together, the men fled to Myanmar. With their share of the spoils from the robbery, they managed to live a comfortable life for a time, but rarely stayed in one place too long. They moved around various countries in Southeast Asia, principally Vietnam, but over the years their funds dwindled. As their finances lessened and years went by, so did the importance the police placed on tracking the 2 men down. Feeling enough time had passed, the pair made the decision to return to China. They came into the country via Myanmar and settled in the border city Ruidi. Chen Xunmi started going by the name Mo Yizhi and created a backstory for himself. He claimed he was born in a mountain village in Guilin and was orphaned as a child. It was a way to explain his lack of identity documents as he tried to build an incognito life for himself. The only link to his true past was a man he would introduce to people he befriended as a distant cousin, also from Guilin. Chen Ennian also took on an assumed identity and was now going by the name Chen Haiqiang. The man now known as Mo Yizhi found work on construction sites, his education in architecture, and employers at the time being fairly casual about staff not having identity documents made it a sensible option to earn money. Over time he would work up to more senior positions and higher wages. He also met a woman whom he would marry, albeit not officially as he didn't have an identity card. The couple went on to have 3 children, living in a simple cheap apartment with barely enough room for the 5 of them. In 2004, with money he had saved, and a loan from his wife's brother, he started his own home decoration business. He even made his brother-in-law a partner, claiming it was to thank him for the loan. Since the orphan Mo Yizhi didn't have any identity documents, it also meant the brother-in-law would have to put his name down on all the legal forms and paperwork needed to run a company. The business did well, earning a decent living for both men and their families. People viewed Mo Yizhi as an honest, hard-working man who built himself up from being a laborer to a successful businessman. He was seen as the backbone of his family. People didn't ask too much about his tragic backstory, it only made people more impressed by his achievements. The one shadow hanging over him was his cousin, Chen Haiqiang. People had a much less favorable opinion of him. Mo Yizhi had handed him a position in the company, but people found him somewhat difficult to get along with. It seemed that Mo Yizhi began to feel the same, and the two would have frequent arguments in a dialect the Ruidi natives didn't understand. While Chen Xunmin had managed to build a good life as Mo Yizhi, Chen Ennian, as Chen Haiqiang struggled relying on his old friend to support him. He fell into alcoholism, and after one argument too far the pair's friendship was over. Things got worse for Chen Ennian. In 2016, he noticed blood in his stool and visited a doctor. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer and told it was terminal. 21 years ago he'd left Guangdong and never returned. Although he was long divorced, he hadn't seen his children or other family members in that time. With his days now coming to an end, he longed to return to Qingyuan and get one last chance to see his family. On December 25, 2016, he walked into his local police station and confessed his true identity, and that he was wanted for his involvement in the robbery that took place over 20 years ago. He went into extensive details about his role in planning, putting the gang together, and his time on the run, but when asked about Chen Xunmin he remained loyal, refusing to give up any information about him. He was arrested and transported back to Guangdong to be held in detention, while police set about tracking down the last man standing. By Chinese standards, Ruili is a small city, so when looking into associates of Chen Ennian, it didn't take long for the man known as Mo Yizhi to come into view. It was immediately suspicious that the successful local businessman didn't have an identity card and that his business, home and the bank accounts he used were all registered under the names of members of his family. When the plainclothes officers entered his business on January 5, 2017, Chen Xunmin wasn't surprised. He'd not had any contact with his old friend for a while, and suspected he'd been caught or turned himself in. Transported back to Guangdong by train, under the glare of the country's news media, Chen Xunmin left behind a shocked and devastated family, who had discovered much of the money the business made over the years had gone missing, under the management of the man they knew as Mo Yizhi. In Guangdong, Chen Xunmin and Chen Ennian faced trial together in the October of 2018. They both pled guilty to the charges they were facing. The terminally ill Chen Ennian was only sentenced to 15 years due to his illness. Chen Xunmin was handed a death sentence suspended for 2 years. There would then be a further 2-year suspension of the sentence, and he remains in prison to this day. With the Paiyu robbery being the largest in the history of modern China, the incident garnered a lot of attention from the public. In 1999, the events were dramatized in the TV series The Great Heist. After the arrests of Chen Xunmin and Chen Ennian, the case was once again in the spotlight and reignited the interest of the public. In 2023, the movie The Eighth Suspect was released. Again, it would be based around the events of the robbery, but this time would also be able to give a dramatized account of Chen Xunmin during his years in hiding. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, leaving a comment and subscribing to the channel. And hope to see you again for the next dark tale from the Middle Kingdom.